What's good, Coach Colin Castell here with ShotMechanics Basketball, and today we're going to bust 3 deadly lies that your coach probably taught you about shooting. All right, so we are in a new era of basketball, and a lot of shooting instruction from the past, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, just really doesn't apply to today's game. And most of the time, coaches like to coach the way they were taught, and so some of these kind of old school principles and techniques have just kind of moved through the generations. And even myself, when I started my coaching career, I didn't coach a lot of the right sort of stuff. Now, again, at ShotMechanics, we are all about personalized shooting instruction. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, but today what we're going to talk about is 3 main keys that a lot of coaches kind of stress that really doesn't work for most players. Now, before we jump into it, I want to give you a free copy of my 7-day shooting challenge. This is 7 days worth of workouts and trainings that's going to probably revolutionize your jump shot and help you kind of get to that next level if at all possible, right? It's perfect, it's free access. All you got to do is click the link in the description or the button below to get access to it right now. So the very first thing we're going to talk about is squaring up. If you've been on our channel a lot, you probably noticed that we like to talk about turning our feet or getting a little bit of a tilt on our jump shot. And by that I mean, instead of squaring our feet to the basket like you were probably taught by a lot of coaches, we're going to tilt our feet off to the side just a little bit. So if I'm a right-handed shooter, I'm going to tilt my feet off to the left. If I'm a left-handed shooter, I'm going to tilt my feet off to the right. Now, what's tough about this is every player is a little bit different. Some players like a big tilt, some players like a small tilt, some players like something in between. So the key is finding out what works perfect for you. Now, when I say that squaring up to the basket is bad, I don't mean that nobody can do it. I just mean that a lot fewer people are going to find that comfortable and get good results with it. So why would we teach everybody something if it only works for a small group, right? We want to give you options as a shooter. So what you want to do is you want to be self-aware and you want to play with your footwork and see what works best. You might find that a little tiny tilt, like maybe Klay Thompson, works best for you. You might find that a bigger tilt for somebody like Steph Curry works better for you. You might find that being squared up works for you, but the thing is you just want to play and practice and see what makes sense, right? The worst thing that we can do is just take, one thing, try it, and then make it, kind of the gospel or make it the perfect end-all be-all solution. So try them out. See what sort of tilt feels most comfortable. And the reason why this is important is because of alignment. So if I'm getting ready to shoot a basketball and my feet are squared to the basket here, as I'm bringing my shot up, body biomechanically, I get a ton of tension in my upper body right here, and it starts to flare my elbow out. One of the questions I get the most from coaches is, hey, I've got this player, their elbow is always flaring on their jump shot, right? But the reason why is because they're squared most of the time. The way a jump shot works is it's all interconnected. So because my feet are square, it makes my elbow pop out because the tension has to go somewhere, if that makes sense. So a lot of times, if we start square and our elbow's out, if we tilt our feet, a lot of times that elbow will correct itself right away without a ton of extra work, without a ton of extra training. Sometimes it's just one quick key. So again, feet squared, that's the first, or feet not squared, that's the first one. We want to have a little bit of a tilt, most likely. If you're on the 3-point line, one foot's going to be closer to the line, one foot's going to be further back. And what that does is it allows our shooting knee, hip, shoulder, and elbow to all be in perfect alignment. That way we're in a straight release as we go towards the basket. Now, some of you might be watching this video and might be going, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. I'm going to write an angry email. I'm going to get all up in his face. I'm going to DM him on social media because I know it's going to happen. But what I want you to do is get on YouTube, get on Synergy, get on whatever video platform you've got, and check out the best shooters in the world. If you look at the best shooters, most all of them tilt, and very rarely are guys squared up because that shoulder tension is one of the biggest keys to getting, or getting rid of the shoulder tension is one of the biggest keys to getting a smooth, fluid jump shot. So myth number 1, busted. Probably aren't going to square to the basket. All right, so myth number 2 that we're going to bust today is the concept of triple threat. Now, before you get all angry at me, triple threat is good. I like the idea of triple threat, but the way it's executed most of the time is not. So when we grow up, we've all been to shooting camps and we've all stood in a line and everybody tells us, that this is the perfect shooting position right here. Ball up, and we call this triple threat because we can shoot from it, we can pass from it, and we can dribble from it. The only thing is we need to modify that triple threat a little bit to be an actual threat, right? Because a lot of times, most players will load the ball too high, and this triple threat makes it that way. So if I'm loading the ball right here and I'm going to shoot, the ball doesn't have much path or power. If we look at the best shooters in the world, most of them load the ball lower down by their hips or even sometimes by their thigh. So instead of triple threat being right here, up by the chest with the ball, we want to have triple threat loaded lower, and we want it more down by the knee or down by the waist, kind of in this area. If you look at the best shooters in the world, most of the time they have what we call the zigzag, meaning that they get a zigzag of their body. So as they're getting ready to shoot, they've got a zig of their foot, up their leg, and then this last one, they don't have a straight chest, but instead it's bent over like this, chest facing towards the ground. That zigzag allows you to get your hips loaded into the shot and spring and use all of your momentum into it. So if we're loading with our triple threat like this, we're losing all this power chain right here out of our hips because the ball's high, it pulls our chest up just like that. And so we're losing not only a ton of power from our hips, but we're losing a ton of power from our ball. If you're missing short, this is probably one of the main reasons why. So instead, I like triple threat. I love the concept, but we just need to tweak it and modify it a little bit. We need to talk about how on triple threat, it's got to be lower and you've got to be further down here by your knee with the basketball. That way our chest is coming forward. We've got this nice zigzag of our body. That way our body's biomechanics can work together and get perfect spring into your jump shot. All right, so the next one we got to talk about is the palm gap. Now this is one that gets harped on all the time, pretty much at all levels. And that's basically just the concept of as you're getting ready to shoot, you want to keep some space between your ball and your palm. Now, at the end of the day, I do think it's better to have that, but it's not necessary. And we always like to think about shooting in developmental stages, right? A lot of times people want third graders and fourth graders to have the perfect jump shot that they're going to have in college. But that's not really the way it works. Basketball is kind of a process, and as you're younger, you're going to get one shot, and as you move through, you're going to make small tweaks and changes as you get stronger, as you get bigger, as you get taller, right? It's simply not realistic to ask, a third grader to have the perfect jump shot in the perfect form, right? They're going to need to get power from somewhere. They're going to need to get, a little bit more strength to get that consistency and that distance, right? So the palm gap is something that I think is preferable, but it shouldn't be taught and stressed as much as it absolutely is, right? So basically, the idea is as we're coming up getting ready to shoot, if you've got this gap, that's great because it gives you good touch on your fingers and you can snap. But I see a lot of players that think that it's like the hidden key to shooting, and so they over practice it, and before you know it, they got it up on a golf tee, something like this, right? We still want to have that touch. So if the ball's setting flat in your palm, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. As long as you're snapping your hand and getting good wrist flexion on the finish, it's not going to matter. You're still going to get good release, still going to get good follow through. If you look at guys like Damian Lillard, he's got a pretty flat palm when he shoots. Even sometimes Steph Curry has a pretty flat palm when he shoots. I see a lot of coaches that want to kind of push their agenda or their narrative, and so they'll find like one or two pictures of a guy and be like, hey, look, check it out, this guy does this with his palm. But the thing is, you need to look at the bigger picture, right, and what's actually working. And if you think about a third grader or fourth grader or fifth grader, they're going to have smaller hands, and so to get it up on their finger pads is going to be a little bit less realistic, right? So if it has to sit back down to the palm, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to ruin the jump shot, and you can still get good rotation on the basketball. But the main key is that if you want to, once you start getting older, then you can work towards it. But like I always talk about, it is all about being a self-aware shooter, right? There's not one way to skin a cat, and you don't want to do something just because somebody else is. What you want to do is try everything out on your own jump shot and see which works best for you. I get emails and texts and all that sort of stuff from kids all the time that say, hey, I'm really trying to do this or that with my shot, but I just can't make anything. And I was lights out before I tried it. What do? Do what gets you results, right? If you're hitting shots, that's what's most important. So don't worry about what's right, worry about what gets you results. If this video helps you out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then hit the comment section down below and let me know what sort of video you want to see next. This is a channel for the people, by the people, and I run pretty much everything out for request, so leave it down below and hopefully I'll get to it. And don't forget, if you're new to ShotMechanics, you're going to want to get a free copy of my 7-day shooting challenge. It's 7 days worth of free workouts that's going to turbocharge your jump shot and help you score more points almost immediately. People are loving it across the world, and it's really going to kind of revolutionize your training, so you definitely want to check that out. Again, I'm Coach Colin with ShotMechanics Basketball. Thanks for watching, and until next time, splash on.